Hello, hello friends. Horace Lever here again. I'm talking today about Jamaica as a republic. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of information. You have to follow closely. 3 years ago, Jamaica finally set about the process of removing the British monarch as its head of state and becoming a republic. To this end, government established, first of all, a Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs and tasked it with creating a Constitution Reform Committee. This committee comprises representatives of various sectors of the population. This committee, the Constitution Reform Committee, or CRC, then, through consultation with the public, formulated a document setting out the character of the Republic. And this document would go, of course, to Parliament for debate and finalization. It was made public on May the 21st last year, 2024, as Ministry Paper number 4/2024. The critical date, though, is December the 10th last year, when this paper was tabled. So Ministry Paper number 4/2024 was tabled as the Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024. Constitution Act. That's the key date, December the 10th. Because that puts Jamaica, with the tabling of the Act, on the path. Now, it has to be noted that there was considerable disagreement over the composition of CRC. Many critics saying it didn't really represent a broad cross-section at all. These were people selected by the government. And as to the quality and sufficiency of the consultation, very weak. That's the general view. As a result, there was disagreement on all the major issues, and between the government position and the position of the civil society and opposition on the other side. So that what was finally put together in this Constitution Act really represents the government's position. On one fundamental issue, there was full agreement between all parties. And this was, of course, the removal of the British monarch as Jamaica's head of state. There was also agreement over the inclusion of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica in the Constitution. But there was no agreement over the head of the judiciary, namely the Privy Council. And the opposition even declared that unless both monarch and Privy Council went simultaneously, they were not voting for this republic as presented by the government. The government is pressing on nonetheless. Its version, for example, removes a powerful tool for keeping the Prime Minister in check, namely the power of impeachment. Earlier on, this had enormous support from former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, as well as former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. And according to a poll by Don Anderson, 91.5% of the people were in favor of it. Nonetheless, it's not there in the Constitution Act as proposed by the government. Similarly, fixed election dates and limitation of only 2 terms in office have been taken out too of this government's version of the Constitution Act. You see, there's a basic difference between the two sides over the power of the Prime Minister. From the time of the 1962 election, or Constitution rather, it's been described, was described then as dictatorial, and former Prime Minister Edward Seaga agreed at the time that it was a dictatorial Prime Minister that they agreed on. Heightening rather than decreasing the Prime Minister's power is another proposal from the side of the government for increasing the number and distribution of seats in the Senate. 15 to the ruling party, 9 to the opposition, 3 to independents from civil society and the private sector, selected at the Governor General's discretion. Of course, there is a strong likelihood of one or more of these independents voting with the ruling party. So what seems to be a harmless or even positive proposal, in fact, increases the power of the ruling party. It doesn't need to have support of the opposition. No doubt that's what every ruling party would like to have, but it really makes the power of the Prime Minister total. When we turn from the content to the process towards establishing the Republic, after the tabling of the Act, there is to be a period of 3 months, according to what the Constitution, our present Constitution, determines, Section 49. There is to be a reading before the debate can begin. Calling it a reading is what Lloyd Barnett, a very knowledgeable legal person, says. This is to go on for 3 months. What happens then is that the Joint Select Committee that was appointed at the time of the tabling comes forward and gives its report. And anyone who wants to also can make a submission in this period. But then it's only after 3 months of this that the debate begins. And this therefore, if December the 10th was the tabling, then March the 10th would be the beginning of the debate. And the debate itself can last a month, 2 months. After the conclusion of the debate, there's another 3 months reading before the bill is voted on. The bill is only passed if there's a 2/3 majority for it. It then goes to the Senate. A month is allowed for debate there. And unless the Senate sends it back to the lower house for some amendment, its approval follows. Passage carried through by 2/3 majority. And then, according to the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the bill is going to go to the next Parliament to put to a referendum. Deeply entrenched articles require a referendum. So it's required to remove the monarch, to remove the Privy Council, to make substantial changes in the Senate. Then when we turn to look at the possible results of all this, that's more complicated. Critical to the outcome will be how the choices are put to the referendum. And we've had the experience of the Eastern Caribbean, where more than one issue is put alongside the Republic issue. And because of the politicization of the whole matter, the country did not vote for a republic. We want to avoid that danger here. So there has to be a lot of education before we come to the vote of a referendum. That's been sadly lacking all along. So there you are. There you are, friends. We're moving towards a republic, but there are major differences between the two sides in Jamaica. Where do you stand? You want a republic? A real republic with no British monarch, not only as head of state, but as behind the background, as head of the judiciary. We want to do away with that and have a genuine republic, but then we need to do the right things to get it. Okay, see you soon again. Bye.